Okay, in this video I'm going to go over the purpose and function of Bitcoin mining, and as well as some other things to do with mining, like Bitcoin mining pools, mining Bitcoin solo, security and centralization of mining, what a 51% attack is, and much more. So I'm going to start off by going over the purpose of mining. Mining is the process of adding transaction records to Bitcoin's public ledger of past transactions. This is where the term blockchain comes from, as it is the ledger of previous Bitcoin transactions, which is a chain of blocks. Mining is also the process in which Bitcoins are added into the network. The current reward is 6.25 Bitcoins for solving the block. Mining Bitcoins is a really intensive process, and this is why it cannot be managed by home computers anymore. You need specialized mining equipment that I will go over a little bit later in the video. The blocks in the blockchain must contain a proof of work in order to be considered valid, and to ensure its validity. It is checked by other nodes in the network. The primary purpose of Bitcoin mining is to ensure that Bitcoin nodes reach a secure, tamper-resistant consensus. Currently, you need ASIC miner for it to be profitable to mine Bitcoin. The Bitcoin mining algorithm, we're going to go over a little bit. So the mining algorithm that Bitcoin utilizes is SHA-256. You need hash rates in the gigahashes per second and actually even higher to be able to mine profitably. The serious miners nowadays use dedicated ASIC machines that are set up to do one thing and one thing only, that is mine Bitcoins. Some of the different hashes are kilo hashes. This is 1,000 hash computations a second. Mega hashes, this is 1 million hash computations per second. Giga hashes, this is 1 billion hash computations a second. And terahashes, 1 trillion hash computations per second. I'll go ahead and post a picture of the different hashes and how many computations per second they are for you, so you could take a look at the number. And there's also petahashes. It's 1 quadrillion hash computations per second. So next we're going to go over mining solo versus mining in a mining pool. So some of the pros of solo mining are you get the whole reward when solving the block and you have control over your mining operation. Some of the cons of solo mining are it may take a super long time to solve a block because of the difficulty, and the cost of entry is going to be very high to actually have a chance in being profitable. If you do not have a substantial amount of processing power, you might never actually solve a block, so you might never actually get any Bitcoin when you're solo mining. And I would not recommend solo mining unless you have a huge amount of capital to put in to get started. And now we're going to go over mining with a mining pool. So some of the pros of mining with a mining pool are there's a community built around your mining efforts. You get to solve blocks more often with utilizing a pool. And it's the best choice if you do not have a huge amount of capital to spend to get started. So if you're a beginner and you want to try mining, you need to use a mining pool. So some of the cons are you get paid less for solving blocks. Of course, if you're doing it solo, you might never solve a block. So that's that. And it may take longer to break even financially with a mining pool. And that's only if you have a large amount of capital. If you have a small amount of capital, it'll take much less time to break even with a mining pool than if you're mining solo. I would recommend any individual to mine in a pool, especially if you're just getting started. And I'm now going to go over some more details about pooled mining. It is a mining approach where multiple generating clients contribute to the generation of a block and then split the mining reward according to the contribution of processing power. So if you're contributing 10% of the processing power to the pool, you'd get 10% of the reward when you find a block. Pooled mining effectively reduces the granularity of block generation reward and spreading it out more smoothly over time. Now that we went over mining pools versus solo mining, I'll go over some mining hardware that is available to everyone. I'll start with the oldest mining hardware that is now obsolete. So one of the obsolete mining hardware that used to be used when Bitcoin first launched was CPU hardware. It was used for a little while. You cannot currently make any profits mining with CPU. Even if you were to mine for a decade straight on your computer CPU, you would never get a single Bitcoin. The next evolution was graphical processing unit mining. This started being utilized about a year and a half after Bitcoin was created, and GPUs allowed for 50 to 100 times increase in mining power compared to CPU, with less power usage as well. GPU mining is still not profitable at the current time, and it's not worth doing. The next step was field programmable gate array mining. At this stage, there started to be hardware manufacturers specifically manufacturing Bitcoin mining hardware. When FPGAs, which is field programmable gate array mining, came along, it allowed for Bitcoin mining farms to be started. FPGAs are about 5 times more powerful than GPUs, and they are much more energy efficient. Finally came the ASIC, or application-specific integrated circuit miners. ASICs are designed for one thing and one thing only, and that is mining. That is their only purpose. There's nothing else you do with them. There's a huge increase of power of about 100 times, and they use much less power than the previous FPGA mining. This is what is currently used the most for Bitcoin mining. ASICs can be refined to be given even more power. This is the machine you need if you want to actually start mining Bitcoin and actually getting some Bitcoin. They are not cheap though in any way, and there is always new hardware coming out and better versions of ASICs. So now that we touched on some of the different mining hardware, I want to touch on security and centralization, just to give you an idea of what a 51% attack is. You need to understand what a 51% attack is, especially if you're going to get involved in smaller proof-of-work coins, because this could actually happen to those coins much more easily than Bitcoin. So I'm just going to go over it to help you understand what it is. Many look at a 51% attack as a flaw in Bitcoin because theoretically a single entity could possibly contribute the majority of the hash rate to the network, and if this happened, then the entity in question would have control over the Bitcoin network. If some entity really wanted to do this, it would cost an insane amount of money, as you would need ridiculous amounts of computing power and energy. Also, if they started doing such a thing, Bitcoin's value would lower, meaning that they would just be throwing huge amounts of money for no reason. Most governments around the world currently do not possess enough resources or energy to do this, though. And as time goes on and the hash rate gets stronger, the chance of this type of attack happening gets lower and lower. If somehow a 51% attack was successful, the attacker could prevent specific transactions from gaining confirmations, they could reverse transactions that they sent, and could potentially prevent miners from finding blocks. Those are the 3 key things they would be able to do, and that's really all they'd be able to do. But if this did happen, people's confidence in Bitcoin would fall. This still would not destroy the network. It is important to know that the entity involved in the attack could not create new Bitcoins, they could not go into anyone's wallet and steal their Bitcoins, or anything like this. Theoretically, it is possible, but the potential of it happening is near to none. This is just to give you an understanding of what a 51% attack is. Even though it is almost impossible against Bitcoin, against small proof-of-work systems, this is much more of a threat. So it's always good to understand what it is and how it can be conducted. Alright, that's all I have for this video. I hope this helps you understand a little bit more about Bitcoin mining's function, how Bitcoin mining is done, and what a 51% attack is, as well as the benefits of mining in a pool for if you're just an individual trying to do it and you don't have huge amounts of capital to put towards it. But really, overall, I would recommend at the current state just investing in Bitcoin over mining it, as you'll probably end up more in profit that way, unless you do have huge amounts of capital and free energy to utilize. Alright, thank you everyone for taking the time to watch my video, and I hope you all have a great rest of your day. Please like the video, subscribe, and comment. I'll be doing a $10 Bitcoin giveaway in the next few days, so stay tuned for that. To qualify, you just have to be subscribed, and then when I put out the video, you'll just have to leave a comment, and then I'll randomly pick a winner. Alright, have a great rest of your day.